Welcome to Healing Journey with Christ, where we hold space for the broken, the brave, and the beautifully unfinished. I'm Tracy, and today is day 2 of our 7-day devotional series, When You Don't Know What's Next, Trusting God in Uncertainty. We are leaning into a tender truth, trusting God when the path ahead feels unclear. If you're in a time of waiting, wondering, or wrestling with what comes next, this episode is for you. We'll explore Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6, and talk about how trust isn't about having all the answers, it's about knowing who walks beside us when we don't. So take a deep breath, let go of the pressure to figure it all out. Let's walk together in today's reflection. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. Uncertainty is hard for everyone, but for those of us who are neurodivergent, it can feel like standing in a maze with no map, no landmarks, too many flashing lights. When routines shift, when plans fall through, when the future feels blurry, our nervous systems often respond with overwhelm, shutdown, or spiraling thoughts. We crave structure, not because we're rigid, but because it helps us feel safe. We seek clarity, not because we lack faith, but because vagueness can feel like chaos. And when life doesn't give us clear answers, it's easy to feel spiritually disoriented. But Proverbs chapters 3, verses 5 through 6 offers a gentle invitation. Trust. Not the kind of trust that demands instant peace or perfect focus, but the kind that says, even when my brain is loud, I will lean into God's quiet. This verse doesn't ask us to override our wiring. It asks us to surrender our insight, our need to figure it all out, and acknowledge God in the midst of our processing. And in doing so, He promises to make our path straight, not always easy, not always fast, but steady, faithful, and anchored. As someone who lives with ADHD and sensory sensitivity, I've often felt like my mind is a crowded room with no off switch. When life gets uncertain, my thoughts multiply. I try to plan for every outcome, anticipate every emotion, and control every variable. It is exhausting. There was a time when I was waiting for clarity for a major life decision. I kept researching, journaling, asking for advice, trying to logic my way into peace. But the more I tried to solve it, the more anxious I became. My executive function was fried. My body felt tense. My prayers felt scattered. Then I read Proverbs chapters 3, verses 5 through 6 again. And the one line that really stood out to me is, do not rely on your own insight. It felt like God was gently saying, you don't have to think your way through this. You can trust me, even with your racing thoughts. So I started doing something small but sacred. I wrote down every anxious thought, and next to it, I wrote, God is with me here. I didn't try to silence my brain. I invited God into it. That practice didn't erase my neurodivergence. It honored it. It reminded me that trust isn't about having a quiet mind. It's about having a surrendered heart. God doesn't need to be neurotypical to walk with Him. He meets me exactly where I am. Take some time today to reflect in a way that feels safe and accessible. And ask yourself these questions. What part of uncertainty feels most overwhelming to you? How does your neurodivergence shape the way you experience trust? Write a prayer that names your mental noise and invites God into it. Create a sensory safe space, even mentally, where you can imagine God sitting with you. God doesn't ask you to change how you're wired. He asks you to trust Him within it. You don't have to be calm to be faithful. You don't have to be focused to be loved. You just have to be willing to let God walk with you, even when the path feels tangled. Please pray with me. God, you know how my mind works. You know the noise, the spirals, the sensitivities. You know how hard it is for me to sit in uncertainty. But today, I choose to trust you, not by silencing my thoughts, but by inviting you into them. Make my path straight, even when I feel scattered. Amen. Thank you for joining me today. If your heart feels restless or your thoughts are racing, I hope this time reminded you that God isn't asking for perfection. He's asking for trust. You don't have to know what's next. You just have to know who's leading. And He's faithful, even in the fog. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who might need a little peace in their waiting. And if you'd like to submit your own healing story, visit healingjourneywithchrist.com. We'd be honored to hear it. Until next time, keep walking in grace, keep trusting the process, and remember, even when the path is unclear, Christ is near.